1, 2, 1, 2. I said microphone check. 1, 2. Can't nobody out here do it like me. Ain't nobody out here winning like me. Can't nobody out here do it like me. Just like me, like me. Can't nobody out here do it like me. Ain't nobody out here winning like me. Can't nobody out here do it like me. Just like me, like me. I'm one of a kind, I'm like a rare breed. A breath of fresh air, you can see me. People stand up just to greet me. Role model, kids wanna be me. Listen now, later you'll believe me. Got you under my spell, the whole thing was easy. I just come and wink my eye like a genie. Put my crown on, y'all little peasant can king me. I'm irreplaceable, the different one. Since I was born, I was the chosen one. Every time I speak, you know it's unique. Might go over your head, my words are kinda too deep. Man, I'm wise like an eyelid.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's Will Garth here with Computer Class. Today we're going to be doing some different stuff. We're going to be taking apart Xbox 360. This is an Xbox 360S. And in our computer class, what we do is we're going to go over the different ports, the familiarities and the similarities that it has with an actual real computer. We're going to also show you how to tear it down and put it back together. And then also we're going to, of course, make sure it still works. And we're going to talk about how technology has advanced over years to the newest Xbox, which is the Xbox Series X. It's a lot bigger. It's a lot heavier. Alright, so first thing we want to do before we crack this open, we want to take a step back and think about what environment this has been in and how much bacteria and how much dust is probably stuck in there. Now, instead of blowing it out, we got our vacuum cleaner. We're going to actually vacuum the dust out of here to make sure when we open it up, it doesn't get anywhere. Because you could be doing this at your home or in your office or at your lab. So bear with me for a second here. Make sure you get all the vents. Okay, now that we got that out the way, now we got a clean unit. Now there's probably still some dust under and inside of it, but we'll get to that later. So with this unit, there's a front face and a back face. And what we're gonna do first is we're gonna take off the front face. We're gonna get our screwdriver, preferably a flathead. We're going to peel this back and we're going to look for the screws. And then once we get to where that's at, the bottom piece is going to pop right off. And then the face will come off. So in order to pry these seals off the top, we're going to be using an opening tool. This normally doesn't come with your toolbox, but you can get this off of Amazon. This is a tool basically you use to pry things off that are kind of tight. So once you get all the brackets loose, this top piece is going to come right off. And that exposes the inside of the console. And as you can see, there's clips to hold the faceplate on. And you know, you can swap your faceplate out. So now we're going to do the other side. So now we're getting a little bit more dust. I'm going to vacuum it one more time. Okay, the next step is going to be actually kind of cool, because now we can separate the hard shell from the console. In order to do that, we have to first remove the front faceplate. The front faceplate is being held on by multiple clips, so we're going to have to sever those first with our flathead and with our prying tool. And these come off, and there's a ribbon that connects the faceplate to the power button. This is the pressure sensitive power button, which is right here, and it lights up. That ribbon that just came out of that little socket right there. So now that we have that piece off, we can go ahead and remove this other top piece off. Now each one of these need to be pushed down. There's little sockets in here that once they're pushed down, they're going to release. And it's going to come back like this. So with the flat head, it's really easy. You just put it in there and kind of push it out. Okay, now we're down to the bottom shell. And it's going to come right off. Now these screws that are on top of here, these are all Torx. They're either T15, T20, or T25s. We're going to take these out one by one, all the black screws. The black screws are the ones that hold it down. The silver screws actually hold the motherboard in place under the heat panel. Yeah, I should have brought that other toolbox back in. I may be making this look a little easy, but it's just because I've done this probably 1,000 times. When I was in college, I ran an Xbox repair business out of my dorm. Don't tell anybody about it, but it was 10 years ago. Yeah. the top piece should come right off. Now you're going to notice there's going to be more dust. There's a couple clamps back here for the heat sink. They get stuck sometimes, so you gotta go under that. Now this heat plate is for magnetic shielding. I'm gonna place that right there. And here we have another little dusty situation. We're gonna hit it with the air real quick. Okay, so we're going to talk about the similarities between the Xbox and a computer. The Xbox basically is a computer. It's kind of based off of DirectX technology and a lot of other Microsoft stuff that most people don't have access to. So this is just a basic DVD-ROM drive. This basic DVD-ROM drive just slides right out. There's two cables. There is a SATA cable, which is very common in computers. Computers use SATA 3. And then there's also a customized ribbon cable right here. Now under that, we have the wireless, this chip right here. This is the wireless communicator chip. And the reason why they started to separate this from the box, just in case it goes bad, you can go in here and you can swap it out without having to do the whole motherboard. So that's another similarity to a computer, because normally when a thing goes bad on a game, you gotta just get a whole new one. You can't just get a DVD drive or a Wi-Fi card. So this, like I said, this is a DVD-ROM drive, regular DVD-ROM drive. Now these are all proprietary to each Xbox system. They have a key code that is set to match, and they're married to their motherboard. So you can't just say, oh, my DVD drive went out, let me swap you for yours. No, you have to have an actual programming chip that hooks up to here and hooks up to a computer, reads the code, and then programs it to the next firmware on the DVD drive. The firmware controls how the DVD drive talks to the motherboard. Otherwise, there won't be any reading of DVDs or games. Moving on. This big fan right here. This big fan. So what do computers do when you're using them? They get hot. Gotta keep them cool. So there's a heat sink under here. A heat sink that has thermal cooling on it. About 10 years ago, Xbox had a really big problem with their systems overheating. It was called the red ring of death. And then on top of that, they ended up adding a bigger fan. So this is the fan that keeps it clean and keeps it cool. In addition to that, there's another SATA and power cable right here. You could slide a regular hard drive in there if you wanted to. Just slide right in there. And it would work on your Xbox after it's formatted, of course. In addition to that, this bottom piece here with all the coils and resistors, this is the motherboard. This is the most important part of the whole system. This holds all the GPU, which is the graphic processing unit, the CPU, which is the central processing unit, and also the RAM, which is where the memory is stored when you're playing a game. In addition, in the back, let's talk about these ports. Originally, video games would have their own ports. Now you can see they're getting rid of the AV ports. Now they have a HDMI, which is a high definition media interface. Then we got the Ethernet, which is the RJ45 cable you plug in for internet. You've got your auxiliary, which is an Xbox thing for the actual Kinect. And then we also have 3 USB ports to plug in your controllers or your hard drives or whatever else. So in theory, this is more of a computer than you think. Of course, it's not running Windows, but it's running like a flavor of Windows, particularly set up for Xbox. All right. So we're going to be putting this back together. First off, we're just basically going to reverse everything we just did. So we're going to make sure everything's plugged up, all the ribbon cables. Starting off with this power cable for the DVD. That's going to slide right back in there. Now, there weren't any screws holding this down because we already went through so many screws as it was. The first that goes on top is the magnetic shielding piece on the top. It like this because I struggled taking this off. I remember it was like it got caught on something or something. Okay, so we're just gonna slide this in. One thing about taking stuff apart, it normally takes a little bit more time to put it back together. So this is actually the Wi-Fi unit right here. This is the Wi-Fi unit that's actually plugged in on the side. There's two Wi-Fi units. There's one for Bluetooth and then there's one for Wi-Fi. Of course, because there's Bluetooth controllers. So now that we have that off, that gets plugged into the side here. And then that screw gets put back on. Now we're going to be putting in all the long screws. There are 5 of them. Alright, we want to make sure that the screws are all the way in there, all the way tight, because if they're not, you won't be able to close the case. Alright, now that that's done, we're going to be putting the top piece back on. After the top piece, we're going to do the faceplate. We're going to make sure that we plug in the ribbon before we put the faceplate in. That ribbon is hanging right there. You see that? That's a nice little sound right there. All right, now the top piece. There are 4 different pieces here. It's like riding a bike, you never forget how to do it, huh? Now all these parts that click back in, if they don't click back in, then you have to kind of redo it because the case won't close and won't fit back together, and it'll look like it's been opened before, and that's the last thing you want. You know, you don't want it to look like it's been opened already. So and there you have it. We've reassembled the Xbox. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go in there, we're going to turn it on. We're going to make sure it works.